Good morning, everybody, and thank you, Beth. It's really a pleasure to be here. This is a very important continuing discussion that we're having. I also want to thank Martin for the great setup. He said, okay, I'm going to be giving the bad news, Jody the good news, and then the last presentation, it's the best news. Well, actually, here's my take on the morning. It's all really good news. And I want to share a personal story with you. As I was walking down the stairs, just out here, to this room this morning, I had this vivid flashback. It was almost 20 years ago that I spoke in this room to a similar conference. My topic was job stress. And the conference organizer was the Canadian Mental Health Association. And this was like a new topic. Job stress was just kind of edging onto the radar screen. And I remember really clearly the prop I used. This all came back just as I was walking down the stairs. It's a good thing I didn't trip, because I had all these images. But I remember to try to make the point that we need to take job stress seriously, and we need to do more than just kind of go out and, do a 1-hour stress management course. At the time, this was 91, 92, stress masks were all the rage. Now, those of you of a certain age will remember the stress masks. Do you remember those? They were little gel packs, and they were neat because you could either heat them or cool them. And depending on what kind of a day you had, you kind of spent 15 minutes and you put this on. And at the time, there was some kind of assumption that this would make all of those things that we've been talking about go away. So 20 years, actually, in terms of change and progress, isn't very long. And when I listen to what Martin has presented, when I listen to what Jody has presented, I see huge progress. And I think we're at a point now where we've got the resources. You saw 2 excellent websites, free resources. We've got the knowledge. We know what we need to do. So when I listen to Martin say, this is going to be the best news, actually, it's all very encouraging news. And I guess I would like to kind of recast the presentations and suggest that actually Martin talked about establishing the floor. Jody gave you a much more in-depth look at some of those risk factors and steps you can take to actually address those risk factors so you establish basic standards around a mentally healthy or a psychologically safe workplace. So what I'm going to now do in the next hour is basically look at the sky and be very aspirational in suggesting that the next step we can take, and we're ready to do that, I believe, is to actually start looking at the entire organization. So that's my goal. And I've got 3 objectives. I want to help you understand, learn more about this big picture of a healthy organization. Then we'll have an opportunity, you'll have an opportunity to actually apply this healthy organization thinking to your own work site, your own organization. Then, and this is the really important part, we'll look at the specific actions you can take as change agents to actually make this happen. And I was so pleased when Beth kicked things off this morning to hear that not only is the sponsor of this conference actually taking these issues very seriously, but when you said that you're actually looking for initiatives and you're going to be doing initiatives within your own workplace, that to me tells us that we're actually starting to put our ideas into practice. Because 5 or 10 years ago, organizations would sponsor conferences like this, and if you pushed them and you said, so what are you doing? They'd really back away pretty quickly. But you're actually putting this into practice. So I think that that's the where we're at, and we need to be therefore asking ourselves, what can we as individuals, whether you're on an occupational health and safety committee, whether you're an HR specialist, whether you're involved in a wellness program or a wellness initiative, what are the things you can do? So that's the sky, because really there's all kinds of possibilities, and defining what the limits are. We kind of know what the floor is, but defining what those limits are, that's in your hands. And you really need to define it within the context of your own organization. So let's begin then by looking at what a healthy organization is. What are the elements? What are the building blocks? What do you really need to be looking at to take this organizational view? And to start this discussion, I want to encourage you to kind of apply the thinking that all of you carry around in your heads now, and it's front of mind for all of you, about individual health and wellness. And that definition that Jody provided from the WHO of, what well-being is all about. It's, total mental, physical, psychological well-being. And apply that thinking about individuals that we've all become so familiar with over the last 10 or 15 years to the organization. And we can actually look at and talk about an organization as a healthy person. An organization is healthy when, as an entity, it's resilient, it's fit, it's got capabilities, it can thrive, it's agile. Now, what I find actually an interesting commentary on sort of management thinking and how it's evolved is that there's all kinds of sports metaphors that have been used. And military metaphors. That pick up any leadership book or read any issue of the Harvard Business Review, and these metaphors are there, front and center. But we don't see a lot of health metaphors. And I actually think we're going to start seeing health metaphors. Because when you look at the characteristics of an organization, a healthy organization where the individuals have all of the things that we've heard about, where the risks have been reduced, and in fact there's all kinds of health promotion and there's preventative measures all over. Those organizations are creating a healthy workforce. And without that, there's no way the organization is going to be able to really fully achieve its goals. But there's more to it, because, and this is the next step that I'm really encouraging you to take. Let's imagine you've got 100 people in your business, and you've just used one of the assessment tools that Jody's talked about, and you've discovered that they're actually all pretty high on all the indicators, and therefore you've got a pretty healthy workforce. All that's telling you is the individuals that you employ are personally healthy. What we also need to be asking ourselves is, are the elements of the organization, the pieces that make up the organization? Because an organization is more than just the collection of the people. It's systems, it's processes, it's structures, it's culture, it's strategy. So are all of those pieces fit together and designed in a way that itself is healthy? That's the shift in thinking that I'm trying to encourage you to make.